Thank you everyone for coming. I appreciate you all coming down. Yeah, so a bit about myself. We'll go straight into it and talk about if you don't know my background. I started training when I was 14. My main objective, I got straight into the bodybuilding world. I was introduced by Dave Titterton, who's 4 times Mr. Universe, super heavyweight. And that's what I was basically forced into when I was 14 years old. And I fell in love with it from a young age. But I never wanted that mass size. I was never obsessed with size. I was more about aesthetics and stuff. So I got into plumbing. I used to be a plumber when I was 16, started that. And fitness was just a way of building confidence and a hobby for me. I loved being competitive and trying to train against big bodybuilders. That was my incentive to keep training and keep growing and stuff. It was only when I was 20, Men's Physique came out. And for me, it was a way of getting that competitive element back, because I used to do a lot of sports when I was younger. So for me, I wanted to test myself, see if I could do a bodybuilding diet, see if I had the willpower to stick to a 12-week diet, to learn about the nutrition. It's always interested in the nutrition, how the body works. And to see if I could step on stage and just do it once. For me, it was all about doing it once for self-confidence. Didn't realise this world existed, the bodybuilding world and the sports world. But for me, it was just some personal goals I wanted to achieve. So when I was 20, I dieted down 12 weeks, made a lot of mistakes in my first competition. Did it by myself, which is doable, but it's always better when you've got a coach or someone to feed off. And when I was 20, stepped on the UK Nationals stage, which at the time I thought was a small little show, which I didn't realise it was quite a big show at the time. But I was very fortunate enough to win that, which qualified me for the Arnold Classic, which was quite a big show. 6 months later, I won that, won the overall, and then a week later won the British finals. So that was my avenue into the pro leagues, and that was me transitioning from a plumber who did it as a hobby after 12-hour days, just doing an hour session at 10 o'clock at night, 9 o'clock at night after my session, after my working day, to being a full-time sponsored athlete. From then on, I started to look at and start to educate myself more about what do the judges want, what is it going to take to be the best in the world, and I started putting a plan together. So obviously we've been doing it 8 years now, from when I was 20, and in that time, I've just watched how the industry's grown, how men's physique's developed, and I've tried to adapt to that. So it came about 3 years ago. I had to start putting some size on. I liked being more aesthetic. I liked being able to run about and things like that, but it was now time for me to start gaining muscle to be a competitor, because I don't want to just turn up on stage and be a number. I always wanted to be the best at what I did. So for me, I had to take a year out, try and grow, try and do things what I wasn't used to, i.e. putting weight back on, because all I've ever done is want to try and get it off and keep my abs visible. I was never really bothered about mass muscle. But yeah, that was my journey. And then obviously when I qualified for the Olympia, I'll retract from that bit. When I got my pro card, I started to look at pro shows, and I wanted to do a basic pro show, and then I wanted to win one of those, and then look at the next thing, then look at the next thing, and look at the next thing, which is the Olympia. So for me, I set a plan, a year goal to be on that Olympia, which was in 2015. Yeah, 2015, I decided no matter what it takes, I've got to be on that Olympia stage come 2015. And I put a little note out in 2014 and said, no matter what it takes, no matter where, how much hard work it takes, how much I have to sacrifice, I'll be there. And I managed to do that in 2015. Won the Atlanta Pro, the Pittsburgh Pro, which took me to the Olympia. For my pro debut at the Olympia, I placed 4th. And then since then, I've progressed, winning the Arnold Classic, Pro League, and coming second in the Olympia in 2016. Last year wasn't a great year for me. A lot of people keep asking about that, especially last week at the Body Power. How did I feel about coming 6th, dropping 4 places? And yeah, it was quite difficult for me. I'm not going to lie. I'm human, and I'm a very competitive person. So to lose 4 places, and it was my own fault. I can't put it down to anyone else. I tried to do things different, try to go in with a different game plan to see if that's going to take me from 2nd to 1st. And I felt like I can't just turn up the same every year. And that was the problem with me, is because I like competing, I love being on stage, that I wasn't obsessed with size, and I kept competing throughout the year, which I'm in a calorie deficit constantly, which meant I couldn't grow, I couldn't make improvements, and I didn't listen to my coach and people around me. I thought, no, Arnold Classic winner, second in the world, moved to America, so this is my best shot. 2 weeks out, changed my game plan, looked at people, Jeremy Buendia, the big guys, look how big they were, and I thought, right, I need to come in bigger. And yeah, I went away from my game plan, and that didn't prove to be very good on the day. So you live and learn. Bodybuilding is all about making little changes and then learning from those changes. So hopefully, coming into this year, we start my prep tomorrow, which is a bit crazy, really, how fast this year's gone already. But I'm looking forward to it, going back to the basics. Been living out in America for a year, which has been an amazing experience, but I've got to get back to what I know, back to Spit and Sawdust Gym, back to my old training partner, back to the kitchen I've always cooked out of, the gym I've always trained out of, and try and make amends for last year. I've got to obviously let a few people down, let myself down, so looking forward to getting back. Training's going good, and I'm not going to boy anymore about myself, so if we go into a questions and answer, it might be a bit more relevant, a bit more, if anyone wants to ask any questions. Come on.
When you were starting out, what would you say was your hardest body part to bring up?
Calves. They still are my hardest as well, to be honest. Calves and arms. And when I first started out, arms was never an issue for me. They were never brought up in the amateur leagues. They were never a problem. But when I got to America, they all seemed to like the oversized arm. You look at Flex Lewis, you look at Jeremy Buendia, you look at any class, they really have that oversized full 3D thickness on the arm. And that's what kept coming back, feedback and stuff. But obviously, with me dieting for the Arnold Classic at the start of the year, 3 months, 2 months out, and then you're starting for the Olympia prep, you can never really address those problems. Calves, I think, are genetic. You can train them and train them and train. And I do. I train them twice a week, very hard. And they're defined. I just can't get those thick muscle bellies. But I do things to try and counteract that. I.e., on my weak muscle days, I'll have an increase in carbs. I'll increase my food over that day. I'll try and hit them twice a week. So my arms now twice a week. So on a Monday or a Tuesday, and then once they're repaired, I'll prioritize them and hit them again. So even if it's on leg day, even if it's on back day, I'll just push them back a day and hit them again. So that way, in my off season, I'm focused on them a little bit more.
So you find the higher carb days on the day that you're training?
Yeah. Some people do it the day before to load it up. For me, because I train later in the evening, I go for 4, 5 high carb, even high fat days, high calorie meals, even in fats, just so I get a better pump. Yeah. Any other questions? We've got some, yeah, sorry.
You can go later. When bulking,
yeah.
size, how clean?
So it all depends on your metabolism, because this is something I've had to fight with this past year. For me, because I've ate so clean and so regimented for 7 years, 8 years, my body was getting more and more efficient to the point where it was actually working against me. Because when I'm trying to gain weight, the more and more food I'm eating, I'm getting a pot belly from the complex carbs. Because you think 450 grams of carbs and complex carbs is quite a lot of food, but I wasn't gaining weight. I was just constantly uncomfortable and stuff. It was only when I started to introduce more clean fats, because I was always high carb, low fat, so just the old bodybuilding mentality. I introduced more fats into my diet, and then I started to introduce bad meals as well. As long as I'm getting good bioavailable proteins, as long as I'm getting enough, like say 3 to 4 meals, good clean protein sources, carb sources and fats, then the 2 or 3 extra bad or relaxed is fine. As long as you're not going obviously crazy with it and silly with it, and you've got to be realistic. You still got to hit your macros in a day, but when you're bulking, it's just being in a surplus of calories. And I think as well, when you're on your off season, you've got to be a bit more relaxed mentally as well. Like for me, 7 years of regimented, on diet, off diet, whatever it was, throughout the year, counting every calorie, you can burn out from it. It's not healthy to live that. You've got to make it into your lifestyle, and that was something I feel like if I could do it again, I'd be a bit more relaxed on my off season, which since meeting my fiance last 3 years, I've been a lot more relaxed, and I've seen a lot more growth, a lot more enjoyment in training. And I fell out of love with prepping, if I'm honest, because I was so regimented. So to introduce normal food and that is not a bad thing. Okay, you all right?
Yeah, so over the last 18 months,
yeah.
Classic has boomed. You know, and a lot of the bigger guys are turning around saying, oh, I'm going to move over to Classic. Even Jeremy was like, I'm going to try and get 2 different categories of Olympia. Do you notice that could have an effect on the way that physique is being judged now? Because obviously, like you said, the boys last year came in with size and it affected you. With that getting bigger, do you feel like it could almost go back to more of an aesthetic look?
To be honest, that's when they introduced Classics. I actually spoke to Jim Mannion, the owner of it, who decided to bring Classic back out, and I was quite elated by it because I was starting to feel the pressures of having to gain weight, having to be bigger, and forcing it. And rather than growing over a period of time, I thought people are growing overnight now. People are getting silly. So I was starting to feel it. And when he rang me up about it and told me about the Classic, I thought that was great because it's a bridge between bodybuilding and men's physique, and that means we don't have to go to those extremes anymore, and we can still have that aesthetic, attainable look. But instead, over the past year, as you saw, instead of them letting us come smaller and stuff, they've just raised the Classic by another 10 or 5 pounds now. So a lot of open class bodybuilders who are dropping down from 212 into the Classic. So it's hard to say because I think the judges, you're being judged by Steve Weinberger, Randy, all those people who for the last 20 years have judged open class bodybuilders. So naturally they're going to be drawn to the bigger guy, the harder guy, the more fuller guy. So it's difficult. In amateurs, if you're thinking about, do you compete in amateur level or pro or? Maybe. Okay, yeah. So no, sorry. So as an amateur, they're looking for the more slender, more attainable look. But then as soon as you get that pro card, it's go for it, whatever you want to do. But for me, I refuse to do that at the minute. I am growing and I'm listening to what they say, trying to make tweaks to my weaker muscle groups, but I'm not going to force trying to be too big and we'll see where that goes. Because as well, I am one of the smaller guys on stage, on the Olympia stage, but I feel I tend to get away with it if I come in condition, because you always look twice the size anyway. When I step off stage, people always say, God, you're a lot smaller than I thought you were. I was like, oh, great, thanks. Cheers. But no, it is one of those things where the tighter you are, the harder you look, the harder you spread, you do look bigger anyway. So that was always my look on it. It was only last year I made a schoolboy error that I never follow anyone on social media. I just keep myself to myself. And competitors, by the way, so never follow anyone. But yeah, the competitors. But Jeremy, I saw a picture of him on a forum, and I don't know if you saw it, spider veins, vascular, huge. 2 weeks out, I'm thinking, they're never going to look at me if he's put 10 pounds on since last year. I was 2 pounds heavier. So it got to me, and he played it perfect, and I'll openly admit that. I let him get to me. So back to basics. I knew what I did wrong, and then this year, obviously, go back to what I know, is just go for condition. And you just got to bring your best package today. I won't focus too much on weight or size, just focus on what you can bring to the stage. Any questions?
What's your best bit of advice for someone which is like trying to not start out, but in the sense of someone which isn't on like a low minimum wage, but someone which is like in their 20s, so someone which is on a budget?
But in what respect? Into competing or into the industry or? It's basically buying in mass. You know, like I usually speak to people from universities and things like that, and it's trying to look at wholesalers and things. And I was the same when I was apprentice. I was on like 40 quid a week when I first started, and it was just about trying to find stuff, replacements for instead of getting fillet steaks, you're getting lean beef mince or whatever. Tuna. I used to get a lot of canned tuna, rice, sweet corn, and you make mass of that, you can make 10 meals for about 3 quid. But no, there's just things like that. It's just trying to be sensible. And I found buying in mass, freezing your meals, things like that, seem to be cheaper. But it is difficult, and it's not a cheap sport. Bodybuilding is not. You have to get the meals in. And people always ask me about how do you grow, and how training is like 20%. And I never really understood that. People used to say it to me, and I never really understood it. The nutrition is so important. So if you can get your head around the nutrition, the more you want to grow, the more you eat. It's simple as that. And it's just trying to find a balance of cheap solutions rather than the fillet steaks and the salmons and the organic foods and stuff. But it is doable. It's just hard. It's harder that way. But yeah. Question?
What are your favourite fats?
Favourite fats? To be honest, I love salmon. I've got to admit, I like salmon. Mackerel I used to love, but I ate too much of it on my diet now. No, so yeah, I'm not good with that. But avocados are brilliant sauce. Walnuts, almonds. I tend to, when I'm trying to bulk, I always, if I cook a steak or chicken, anything, I always throw almonds, walnuts, just fry them up, you know, crisp them up. Avocado, mush it up. So, you know, like my favourite meal is basically wheat toast, mashed avocado, smashed avocado with 4 poached eggs. It's a great fat sauce, great protein sauce, carb sauce as well. What else would you say fats-wise?
Do you use coconut oil?
Yeah, I use a lot of coconut oil, too much I think, too much. But yeah, that's great for cooking with. Some people actually melt it into the coffee, don't they? I don't know if anyone's ever done that. That's it, bulletproof. Yeah, I've not tried that one yet, but yeah, no, I tend to use that as well. But what about yourselves? Do you compete?
Yes.
Nice. What class? What federation?
Ladies Physique.
Nice.
But, I did natural last year.
Okay.
Competed with MPA.
Okay.
And I won the British Championship.
Oh, congrats.
That was my first year.
Nice.
So when you were saying
Yeah.
just now about winning,
Yes.
coming first in your first year, I was like, oh wow.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant. No, it is good. It's scary, isn't it? Because for me, like my first time, so I was so nervous and I thought, I'm never going to do it. I just thought, I'm going to do it for myself. Never told anyone the day before I signed up to it. And I didn't realise what show it was or anything. It was just for personal gain. And then as soon as you step on that stage, I was like, when's the next one? Get me back on that stage. So have you got the bug now? Do you think you'll keep going?
Yeah, very much.
Good. Yeah. Questions? Yeah.
Would you,
Sorry.
pre, sort of intra and post nutrition kind of like?
Pre and post. So basically, I'd stay away from fats around training, focus more on carbs, protein. And what I would do is white rice, chicken or turkey or white fish, so easy, digestible, quite quick digesting. I'd go for white rice personally, pre. And then post, I normally go for 100 grams Vitago or tricarb with like 40 grams whey protein. And then an hour after that, I go for a solid meal again, which would be another protein source, either turkey, chicken to that. So keep it quite clean around your training. And then obviously you can go into your fats in the evening. So the last 2 meals will be salmon, mackerel or steak. So I'd always aim for them away from, just because if you're having fats around training, it slows the digestion down and you want to get all your glycogen in, you want to obviously get the repair going and stuff. So they're your best meals around training, is more carbs, protein, and filter your fats in later in the evening. Obviously when you're sleeping, your body's fasted over 8 hours, so you just want to drip feed the muscle through having a slow protein source, which is, steak or something like that.
Because like intra shakes have got quite popular recently.
Okay.
What's your thoughts on them?
Yeah, I use something which is called tricarb, so Vitago post-workout and tricarb, which is waxy maize, multidextrin and fructose. So it's a blend, cheap for 15 quid for a big tub. So, I'll have 50 grams, sip it whilst I'm training. I'll try and finish it 30 minutes or whatever, 20 minutes prior to finishing. And again before, so 50, 50, 100. So if you're struggling to get food in and you're bulking, 200 grams of carbs around your training, which is ideal. And me personally, I get a better pump. Obviously the fatigue's not, doesn't come around as quick. And again, if I struggle to get the amount of calories my body needs, I struggle to get it in. So by adding that 200 grams there is a great, easy way of getting it in. When I'm dieting, it changes. It goes down to 50, 50, 20. And the closer I get, I'll go to 20, 20, 50. But I'll always keep carbs around training, no matter what time of the day, even if it's late at night, first thing in the morning, I'll always keep my carbs.
You have BCAAs in there as well?
I do, yeah. So a lot of people use glutamine as well. I just can't stomach glutamine. You know, the grit, it's just like sandpaper. But so I'll just stick to the BCAA before and during. And then if you're taking a good whey protein, it should be high in BCAAs anyway post-workout. You can add glutamine to it, but it should be ample amounts in a good protein. Yes, sorry, mate. Yeah, you say.
After competing last year, it seems so hard to gain the muscle again, in terms of size, in terms of vascularity, in terms of gaining weight. So I would consider my metabolism is quite fast. So I do learn to
Yeah.
Back quite fast. And then it seems this year, I didn't compete this year, but this year they seem so hard to gain that size again.
Yeah.
What do you advise for? Is that normal? Is that something
Are you doing?
happen to people who got their fast metabolism, or is that because your body needs to recover more in terms?
So what have you had a year out? Did you say what from training or So you've had a year.
No, a year out from competition. I
Okay. So you've still been training, still. Yeah. Well, that's just obviously. So you're trying to grow now, is that what you're saying? So
trying to grow, but it seems
a lot
hard. Yes,
yeah.
It's quite hard
But
in terms of comparing to the previous year.
Yeah. So maybe look at like swapping up your nutrition completely, shocking the body. So if you're used to a high carb, low fat diet, and you've got such a fast metabolism that you're not holding fat, you can't gain weight, swap it round. See if you can. The protein will always stay the same. You can't. There's no point increasing your protein. So for every kilogram you weigh, I personally would have 2 grams of protein. So if you're 80 kilograms, 160 grams of protein. Carbs and fats can fluctuate between, if you're struggling to digest carbs, if you are and you feel like you can get more calories in, go for more dense food, i.e. fats. So go for more lean, not even lean actually, go for red beef mince and things like that. Yeah, things like that, just to try and slow your metabolism down, but it's still a good source of fat, it's still good calories.
Generally, so proper the red meat is completely out of my diet.
Oh, is it?
A lot of chicken.
Okay.
But I know that
But
the red meat is
yeah,
not
red
on my
meat,
diet.
because chicken's obviously a good protein source, a lean protein source, but there's no fats, or there's a little bits of fats in it. But you want to start looking at different foods, like salmon is ideal. Salmon's very underrated. Salmon's a brilliant food source if you can keep that in your diet. Mackerel, again. But again, it's high fatty foods which are healthy for you.
In terms of post-competition, so you always, your body needs to relax and feel free to the movements and everything, the diet as well. You influence quite a lot on my hormones after the competition.
Okay.
Do you think jumping straight to the fats or jumping straight after the competition, jumping straight to the bulking one is good, or you take some weeks out?
Yeah, I would reverse diet. Have you ever heard of reverse dieting?
No.
So basically it's reintroducing normal foods and higher calories than what your body's been used to. Because the thing is, it's great that you're in an anabolic window, and I'd make the most of that. So post-workout, post-show, sorry, I wouldn't go straight into training within the first week. I'd have a week off, let your joints recover, and obviously you've dehydrated the body, which is dangerous within certain things. So you want to get all your electrolytes, your natural salts back in your body after depleting for a show. So let the body recover. So give yourself a week. A lot of bodybuilders give themselves 4 weeks, but not many people stay at the gym. Yeah, a week's enough. But and then and enjoy yourself. So enjoy food, what you've wanted, you've craved and stuff, because then you're mentally releasing. Like, you need. But then try and get back into some sort of regimented thing, but increase the food slowly. So each meal or each day or each week, you'll be increasing the carbs again, but it's all clean, complex carbs, and so you're just not hungry, because you know when you're dieting down, you're restricting in food. Just have the same food sources, but add some sauce to it, some more flavour to it, and add the amounts, add more calories, yeah. And then that way you're still going to be growing, because you're in an anabolic window there, which is make the use of your rebound, as they say. But just don't go silly with trying to put donuts and all that kind of stuff in it. It's just, it's not great, and you'll be just fluctuating. It's not good mentally either. If it's your first ever show, then you're going to do it 100%. There's no way. But learn from it and then just utilise it. Okay? But you're looking to go back on stage this year then, or?
Definitely.
Nice.
Next year probably,
Yeah, you're having a year out and then do it. Good man, good man. I'm looking forward to getting back on my diet. I need that regimented. I think my fiance is looking forward to me getting on my diet as well. She hates it. Just sat there trying to force food in and stuff, whereas it's hard work, isn't it? Yeah, that's terrible, mate. Thanks, mate.
Is one person on the side the key of the diet, so it's like yourself, like prepping everything, trying to find time for everything?
Yeah, for me, I don't... What, sorry?
Yeah, in 24 hours, do you have time, or is the other person who is looking, which can be...
Well, now I'm very fortunate that I've got a team what helps and stuff, makes it a lot easier. But when I first started out, for the first 5 years, I was doing everything by myself, prepping each night and stuff like that. And for me, I don't know, I found that I liked that regiment. I like knowing what my next meal is. I like knowing I have to train twice a day. And I don't know, once you've done that, I think it's hard to get out of it. And for me, I've always wanted to stay lean. I've always wanted to have that confidence, and that's why I trained. It's for self-confidence. So to come off the Olympia stage and then have people tell me, it was good that he was bigger, but not sacrificing your condition. So you need to take a year out, come in the same size, but better condition. So for me to go away, to start trying to eat and force feed is insanity to me. It's crazy, but I know it's part of bodybuilding, and I know that's the process I've got to do. So that's what I've been doing for the past 6 months. It's been okay, should we say. The first 3 months it was all right, but then I've just got back into eating clean again, and my metabolism's fired up and losing weight already before the Olympia prep starts. But no, I'm looking forward to getting back on stage. I need to make amends.
How many weeks is your prep?
So normally it's 12 weeks. I'll only ever do 12 weeks, and normally I'm ready 3 weeks out, 4 weeks out, which is never great really. But I get, because my metabolism, I get a bit carried away, and I get ready too quick. But because I'm working with a new coach this year, and we're going to try and come in different, we're going to try and grow for the next 4 weeks and then drop. So we're going to do 16 weeks. So it's 17 weeks tomorrow, but I think we're going to be officially starting 16 weeks.
You're going to work on the first 4 weeks? Or
I think so. No, the first 4 weeks.
So you're going to proper go in high calories
Yes.
before shredding?
Yeah, so the first 4 weeks are going to be really filling up, because I've been travelling so much and things. I've dropped 10 pounds in the last 3 weeks. So he's my coach is not happy with that. Obviously, he's not going to be.
Bulking, because you're on the bulking period before going
Yeah,
to
so
12 weeks.
yeah, but when I'm on the bulking period, it's more relaxed, more having a social life, having just the freedom to do what you want, eat what you want when you can, and it's still eating clean, but not have that. Your next meal has to be this amount of food, has to be this. So you're just mentally relaxed. Whereas when the Olympia prep starts, which is officially 16 weeks out, we're gonna have 4 weeks regimented. No matter what that next meal is, I've got to finish it. And no matter what my cardio is, no matter what that session is, it has to be done. So it's just getting that format and getting back into that routine, really.
Cut though, after that, your body's going to probably respond very, very well.
Yes, I'm hoping. It's going to struggle though, because obviously I'm forcing food now, which is stretching my stomach, and I'm getting hungry. I can feel myself. The more meals I'm eating, the hungrier I'm getting. So then to start restricting it, I'm not looking forward to that. But hopefully it's made some good results. Sorry.
2 questions.
Yeah.
The first one is, why did you decide to change coach?
Because basically I've been with the same coach for 10 years. And he is a great guy. He's up from the north. He's an old bloke who just kept himself. He trained half the guys on these pitches downstairs, which is amazing to see. But he kind of fell out of love with the sport. He's gone into retirement, let all the other lads go, and he was keeping me on for the last year just as a friend rather than. And it was hard, to speak to him. And on my Olympia prep, I managed to speak to him once in 12 weeks. And the other side of the world, him over here and I'm over there in America, living in America. And you do need someone to fall back on. I know what I'm doing and stuff, but when you're 2 weeks out from a show, your mind plays tricks on you, and if you've all been there. So it's you want someone to lean on. And I've gone with Neil Hill. I don't know if you know Neil. He's very, very passionate, and he's very, very. He's on my case already. I'm not going to lie. He wants to succeed for him as well as for me. So I kind of need that now at that level. And to drop 4 places, I need to come in different. I need that help to take me to the next level. So I'm hoping that's the case.
The other question is, not so much for me, but competing has become a bit like of a trend.
Yeah.
It's cool, like everyone is doing it.
Yeah.
It's a space for everyone.
Yeah.
But I noticed that people, that are going to do it for the first time, will do anything to get from A to B, just because they're so scared that they're not going to do well when it's just the first show. So what would be your best advice for them?
So for me, my first ever show, I never wanted to turn up as a number. I always wanted to be a competitor. So I never wanted to just step on stage just to be there. So prior to me stepping on stage, so I went and looked at the men's physique class. I went and looked at what was winning those classes and then compared myself to that person, because I thought I want to go in with a game plan. And that was it. So I had like a year out. It ended up being 3 years in the end because I just couldn't bring myself to do it. But I was looking at it thinking, I need bigger shoulder. I mean, you have to be your own worst critique. And I wouldn't rush getting on stage. And let's say this game is all about being fresh-faced and making an impact the day you get on that stage. So I was determined to do that and to win that show. So I went away and looked, right, I need bigger shoulders, I need rounder shoulders, I need bigger back, I need a tighter waist, I need to be more conditioned, my stage presence has to be better and stuff. So then I started putting a plan together, and I was watching those shows still, looking if anything's changing, the trends change, and then I realised, like, it's now or never for me. I did all my practicing, done everything, and that's what I would suggest, is do your research before jumping on stage, and don't rush the process. Like, people are competing from the age of like 17, 18 now, all the way through to 60 odd, and I'm up against people who are in the 40s on the Olympia stage. So there's no age limit. There's no. It's all just about that fresh face, and yeah, making an impact. So have you competed yourself?
Yes, I did.
In what class? What?
Bikini.
Nice. Yeah. Are you going to compete again, or?
Well, I competed a lot last year, so I done
Okay.
it from like February through the whole year.
Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it?
I just, I don't know.
Yeah.
My body
Needs a rest.
respond as well to the last show.
Yeah.
So the plan is like to take
A year out. Yeah, no, it's good that you're listening to yourself, because not a lot of people do that either. They start to chase the stage and they start to chase the trophies and whatnot, and they don't listen to the body. And I've seen that happen so many times. It's not healthy, you know, it's healthy to be lean, but not to be at stage weight. And that's something I've had to get my head around as well, is you can actually be detrimental to you. And if you're in a deficit all year, how are you going to make those improvements to be first place? And it is hard, and it's typical me saying that now, because I've had my first, not even a year out, but my first away from, and it's difficult.
Yes, I mean, the plan is to take a year off.
Yeah.
I always feel that I'm going to get to a point that I'm going to feel like, okay, this is
It's time now, yeah. It is, but then you've got to, that's something have you had enough rest? Have you made those improvements? And you've got to be realistic with that. And that's what I admire about bodybuilders, where they can shut off. They can, once they've competed, they can go into an off-season. And it's more acceptable, I think, for bodybuilders, because they need an off-season. People see them walking around ballooned up, massive, most of the year. But for bikini and for men's physique, it's very much being lean all year and stuff. And that's why I think with I don't know if you've seen the new rules with the Olympia now, the men's physique, because it's become so popular, you can't just win a show and qualify. You have to win multiple shows, which is encouraging people to compete all year, which I think is dangerous. And I think it's not, you see some people, the first show look phenomenal, and then you're seeing them week after week compete, and they're just deteriorating. Ben Noy was a guy, I don't know if anyone ever knew Ben Noy. Phenomenal shape. Do you remember the British against me, 2010?
Yeah,
2013. Yeah.
He had incredible.
Phenomenal, wasn't he?
And I saw him over the weekend, and his.
It ruined, bless, yeah. But in that year, because he came third and he was so close, and people said, like, he's the next, obviously he's going to be on the Arnold Classic stage and he'll be the winner and all this kind of stuff, that he just kept competing week in, week out. And he'd lost, I think it was 13 kilograms from when he was against me, and he was shredded. There was nothing to come off. 13 kilograms in a year, which is muscle mass. And he just looked emaciated. They finally gave it him, and then, yeah, bless him. I don't know what he's done since then. But it is difficult. But again, it's listening to your body and being sensible.
I've got two questions. One coming off the back of that. What would you say was more important generally to you than getting in stage for, like getting in shape for stepping on stage and being the best in that particular moment?
Yeah.
Or the longevity of it, like training to look good year round?
Yeah. So.
Years and years on end. I mean, because you could look, like you said, the bodybuilders look incredible for the couple of weeks leading up,
Yeah.
a week or two after their show, but
Yeah.
most of the year.
And that's why I never wanted to be a bodybuilder, because, yeah, sorry, go on.
People like yourself and Steve Cook and that can
Yeah.
look around
Lean.
good and aesthetic year round.
Yeah. So for me, I got into training, like I said, when I was 14, because I did a lot of sports growing up, and I nearly snapped my Achilles. So to stop me training, stop me playing football and all that, they put me in pot, and I was eating the same food, and I gained a lot of weight. So when I was 14, when I was healed, they told me I had to get back in the gym to lose the weight, to be fit again, to play football again. And that's when I became obsessed with the gym and loved training. And when I started to get leaner and see how my body changed, and that's all I wanted to do. I never wanted size, and I never wanted to have the bodybuilding mentality to be chubby, fat all year and just be lean for 12 weeks. I wanted it to be a lifestyle. And that's how I've progressed. Obviously, in 14, 15 years, I'm not the biggest guy. I've not grown. I've just grown. I've done it the harder way. So staying lean all year is difficult to grow. And for a bodybuilder, an off-season is vital. They can grow when they've got surplus of fat and stuff like that. But for me, my objective was to be lean all the time. It was only when the men's physique start getting, because you know when we first started, I don't know if you ever saw any pictures of me first, it was a lot smaller. Mr. International, oh God. People don't remember those days. No, but yeah, it was a lot softer, smaller, and it was a beach look. People, that's what the criteria was. I remember at the Arnold Classic, the head judge, because I don't know if you know, there was 2 British judges under the panel of 10 judges, and they actually at the time, I didn't tell them, but I had a front cover, Muslim Fitness front cover out, and the head judge lifted my cover up and said, "This is not men's physique. This is too hard, too grainy. We're looking for a beach look. If someone comes out looking like this, don't award him." So Helen, yeah, this was, yeah. So
many people got marked down
yeah,
for being too.
but that's how it, yeah.
IFBB, that's exactly.
Exactly. But I remember them messaging me saying, "Ryan, whatever you do, they've just showed a picture of you. They don't realise you're backstage. So soften your posing, don't hard, don't." So I'm walking out stage trying to half pose, you know, and you've like, it was a strange thing. But then now, you won't get away with that. You've got to be grainy, hard. And it's just the way bodybuilding is in general. You just, the competition. Yeah. Bikini, I've got to admit, bikini is one of the hardest classes, I think, personally, because they change their mind every show. And like, you look at the Courtney King, you look at Angelica, completely 2 different shapes in the space of a year. So people are aiming for that smaller, harder, thin kind of look for Courtney. And then a year later, Angelica's got shapes again, softer, a bit more muscular. And it's hard to follow. So what I would always suggest is try not to get too fixated on what they're doing. You just bring your best package. If it's the hardest you can be, the leanest, and yeah, the most healthy looking, not emaciated in the face and stuff. It's difficult. Yeah. So.
When training, obviously we train hypertrophy,
Yeah.
muscle mass. Do you ever like shock your body and do strength training?
Or not so much strength training. What I tend to do, it is kind of strength training, but what I tend to do is try and shock the body each week. So if you ever see my ebooks or anything like that, I'm very sporadic in my training. It's never like 1 week heavy, second week mediocre, or third week light. And it's always different rep ranges, different tempo. Even in the same session, it's just to keep shocking. And it's to keep the enjoyment there, you know, so I don't get bored of the same thing day in, day out. And it might not be the most efficient way, but for me, I've enjoyed doing it for 15 years. And I listen to my body. Like, everyone has to listen to their own body. So if you've got if you've got injuries, or you're fatigued when you train, you're not going to go and do your 1 rep maxes and stuff. So people get obsessed with looking at a program they're following and think, I've still got to hit my 1 rep max today, but yet they've got injuries or they've not got the meals in they should have done and stuff. And I think that's kind of a dangerous way of looking at it. I think you need to listen to your body. Obviously, don't shirt out if you're tired. You can't think, "Oh, not bothered today." You've still got to hit it hard. But for me, when I started to follow a regimented thing, I wasn't enjoying it. I was doing other people's exercises, which I don't enjoy, which you're not going to get the fullness out of your training. So I always tailor it to myself on the day, basically. I go in and think, I'm feeling strong today, I'm going to hit some big lifts. And
Training session's different.
100%. And what I'll try and do as well is, it's only like 6 days apart, so I'll always remember like what I've started with. So if I'm doing back, if I start on a width, I'll always start on a thickness on the next week. If I deadlift on 1 week, I'll squat on another week. Just things like that, just to keep injury prevention down.
What's your view on like things like triple drop sets? They real massive.
I love stuff like that. I've got to admit,
Setting.
yeah, a lot of people think I do it too much. Yeah, a lot of people think I do it too much because it could be counterproductive because of my metabolism. But I don't like having long rest periods. I like getting in the gym, having an hour and 15 flat out. I like having that feeling. So drop sets and things like that, I implement them quite a lot actually. I do. I think there's a place for them. I think if you do your like heavy lifts, low reps, it's earlier on in the sessions, and then each exercise, I would always do a superset or a drop set just to finish that on before moving on. Yeah, I think they're great. Have you ever done time under tension?
Yeah.
It's a difference.
Negatives and things.
Yeah, negative, yeah. For me, that was a great thing for me, because I started to plateau everyone plateaus and stuff, but that was a great one for me, pushing through plateaus, was time under tension. It's not ideal to do it every week, because it's quite lengthy and quite time-consuming to do it, but I'd always introduce, like on the second to last exercise of the session, is start doing time under tension and stuff. I think that's a great way of strengthening. So.
Just because she was talking about the workout, different types of exercises,
Yeah.
I see that you during your career, you grow So you're growing up quite quick. At the same time, you maintain your 3D version, let's say.
The what, sorry, version?
The 3D muscle version. So what is the key of that? Apart from working on the set and working on the...
Personally, it's through food again. It's eating more, be more consistent, and if you get your food sources into a lifestyle, so you've got to find foods that you enjoy 365 days of the year, what you can sustain, and build it into a meal plan. Instead of putting bad fats and things, which is your metabolism's not going to work as efficiently, I found food over the years what I really enjoy, and I swap it around and whatnot, but it's still the same food source, so my body's used to it, and it becomes more efficient. And the more efficient your body becomes, the more you can consume, you know, without putting body fat on and gain, and you've got more energy sources then. So when I'm training, I'm fueled by all clean calories, and quite a lot of calories. And when I diet down, I tend to keep my food in as much as I can, and I increase my expenditure in the gym rather than take my food away. So I'll always keep my food as high as possible for as long as I can, and then the closer I get to show, obviously you are going to have to start dipping into it. But I've always believed output rather than taking stuff away, like food away. So I'll always increase my cardio or increase my my intensity in my hour workouts rather than take my food away. But there will be a point where you have to, but leave it in as much as you can. You stay fuller.
Do you normally put a couple of exercises for each muscle group? Do you work on the reps, or do you work on the putting more sets in your workouts? Because you said that you want to maintain the same food plan.
Yeah, so I'll always start my food plan 12 weeks out, which is high. You always want to be in a high calories when you start your diet, because then you've got somewhere to go. Some people I speak to, they're on 2,000 calories and they're starting their diet. I'm like, well, where are you going to go from that? You can't take anything more away. You're going to flatten off, you're going to eat it into muscle, you're going to rebound, things like that. So have a healthy amount of calories, and you've got a good starting point then. You can start to leave it as high as you can and start to increase your expenditure. So you start with, normally people train once a day. On average. When you start prep, you can start 15 minutes in the morning just to get your metabolism going, low intensity cardio. So then again, that's more of an output than what you had when you first started. Then you start to increase that cardio. So over the next week, go to 30 minutes, 45 minutes. I'll always do an hour. About 8 weeks out, I'll be an hour first thing in the morning. Low intensity, and that's increased my expenditure massively. And that's before I even touch my food. So over that first 4 weeks, I've managed to increase my expenditure, leaving all my food in there. So I've still got ample amounts to play with when I'm getting closer to my competition day. Then in the gym, I'll start to do more rep range. The closer I get to my show, obviously, I'm not going to be hitting 1 rep max. I'm not going to be lifting heavy weight. You're going to be leaner. Your joints are going to be drier because obviously you're not as in body fat. So you have to be sensible. So I go for more rep ranges, triple drop sets, supersets, things like that, rather than just doing 8 reps heavy weight.
So do you advise or consider the 4 per 25 or 4 per 20? So you consider always drop sets, supersets?
Yeah, and then what I'll do, so then twice a week, depending on where you're at in your diet, if you're ahead and you're too far down or you're starting depleting, then you wouldn't do this. But I've always found a great way of burning body fat and maintaining muscle and staying full is full body circuits. So a full body weighted circuit. You do 4 weeks out, you do it once a week. So on your rest day, or you just do that, which is basically 3 exercises on each muscle group, 20 reps on each exercise, and it's a mini circuit. I think you have done that. You'd have done that, wouldn't you? Because in Good Bodies and stuff, they're big on that up there. So for back, so you do like a deadlift, a seated row, and a wide grip pull down. 20, 20, 20, no rest. Then you have a 30 to 45 second rest. Go again. Hit it 3 times, and you move on to the next exercise. You do a full, every single muscle part in the body. It takes about an hour and 15, an hour and 30.
You said it's 1 stage per week on the last 4 weeks.
Yeah, so 4 weeks out, if you're slightly behind, it's a great way of speeding up your metabolism, great way of still forcing blood into your muscles so you're not eating away at muscles instead of just flattening off by taking food out, by doing more cardio. It's still productive because you're still forcing blood into each muscle group, and it's an awesome, awesome way of expending. It's horrible, especially 4 weeks out. It's not something you want to be doing, but it's a great way of really getting tight and hard.
My problem was that last year, as I said, my metabolism was quite fast. I started 12 weeks just with my diet, with my family trying everything.
Yeah.
And then I got close to the show 2 weeks out. I was completely shredded. And then when I stepped on stage, I was dead.
Was you really?
Dead.
But is that, did you do something in your peak week?
Sorry?
Did you do something in your peak week different?
Not much about that. There's the next question coming up.
Okay.
What do you consider peak week?
So peak week, I think peak week's got a lot to answer for because so many people, especially with bodybuilders as well, I was the same. I was taught by an ex-bodybuilder who had the old mentality of manipulating sodium, increasing your carbs, dehydrating, water loading. There's all these magical things. Well, is that what you all do?
No.
Oh, okay. There's all these things what people seem to do, which there's no need to do. So when you're dieting for 12 weeks and you're getting leaner and leaner and leaner, and a week out, yes, you feel flat and feel terrible, but you're lean and you're looking phenomenal. Why introduce these things, what you haven't done and what your body's not used to? And it was only when I realized that is when I started to make huge changes when I was on stage. So every time I went on stage, like I had 3 days off, I'd deplete down to 0 carbs for 2 days, and then 3 days out, I'd mass carb, nearly 1,000 grams each day. I'd sodium deplete, so I'd flush all the salt out of my body through bottled water and stuff, 10 litres for 2 days. Extremes. And then I'd deplete on the day, dehydrate for 24 hours. And I'd never feel full on stage. I'd never feel grainy. I'd never feel as... And I said to my coach, it was in Dallas, in my first show in Dallas. And I turned up and I was a week out, or 5 days out. And I said, this is what I want to look like on stage. Just one show, can we just leave everything as normal? Can we just...
Don't change anything.
Don't change anything. Yeah, we'll just slightly drop the water so you get a drier look. And that's what he says, are you sure? I was like, yeah, please, just this one, I take all responsibility for it. And we did it. It was 300 grams of carbs all the way in. I dipped for 250, 2 days out. And then I just topped up. So I went to 700 to 700 for 2 days instead of 3 days. So I just topped up, dropped my water for 8 hours, nothing, left my sodium in, left everything. Best I ever looked. And then ever since then, yeah, I just tweak things around that method. And everyone I speak to now is getting that way of thinking, because a lot of Americans, the night before, will be putting chips, putting burgers and pizza and stuff. But that's a big risk. Yeah. And it's a way of filling up, but I just think, wait one more day, fill up on what your body's used to. If your body's used to sweet potato, white rice, but whatever it is, white potato, stick to that until after the show, then enjoy yourself and stuff. But I just think it's a big risk putting all those saturated fats, salts, all that when your body's not used to that.
What you want to do is not be able to go to the loo and then...
Yeah, exactly. And then 100%, yeah.
Same for the training, yeah?
Sorry.
Same for the training.
So the training, no, the last 3 days would be a depletion circuit. So you do lower, upper, and then a full body circuit. But again, the full body circuit is what I've just explained, but it's not about ripping muscle fibers down. So you need to, it's just fatiguing and depleting. So you need to know when you're at that point of it becomes burning, lactic acid's building, then you know you're breaking muscle fibers down. So you need to stop. So it's all about just blood flow and just literally depleting and flattening off. Put a hoodie on, don't look at yourself because you're going to be flat, but you're just literally going through the motions of depleting everything, all your water out and stuff like that. Because you don't want to be, especially if you're doing legs, if you do a bodybuilder, obviously we get away with it because we have shorts, but you don't want to be hitting a big leg session and they're all watered over for 4 days, 5 days. So it's being sensible and knowing your body when you do that. But depletion circuits are better because you don't want to be doing, on a Monday, if you're on a Saturday doing arms, just an arm session because it's not going to be beneficial to you. Okay, yeah, so just everything really, and that's what peak week's about.
When you were talking about doing those like really high carbs, or even the American lots doing burgers and stuff the night before, is that kind of thing probably only really beneficial if you've got that massive amount of muscle mass?
So basically it's beneficial to anybody if they do it right, but what they're doing, you can do it in such a cleaner way, what your body's used to. So you could have steak, white potato, with salt on it, pink Himalayan salt. That's effectively what they're doing, but in a dirty way. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to increase a mass amount of fat and a mass amount of sodium into the body and carbs, i.e. chips and bread, stuff like that. So then you fill up, you expand. But if you're sensible, and most pro bodybuilders now have learnt, you don't do it that way. You fill up on white potato, you fill up on the clean stuff, what your body's used to, and then you add Himalayan salt or you add salts on the day. So you can what's the word? You can put it on what you need. You can weigh out what kind of salt you need, the amounts you need, rather than getting a dirty burger and stuff. And you'll only really see people do that is when they're at like amateur level or they're doing it on their own, and it's just an excuse really to competition tomorrow. Let's get some stuff. Yeah, some people honestly in America, they love donuts. They're like, Americans love donuts. And like I've been at shows, Pittsburgh Pro, Logan Franklin, who's a great competitor, and he's sat there with donuts and stuff. I'm like, are you serious? You're going on stage in like 2 hours and you're putting donuts in, which are going to blow your stomach and stuff. I was feeding them in. I was like, yeah, go on. Everyone else throwing them out to everyone. Yeah, good lad. But yeah, so it's just, again, it's learning how your body reacts to certain things. And like Luke Sandow, he does it every Luke Sandow. But now he's with Chris Aceto. I think he's had it took out. But I used to see him at the British the day before, having a burger and chips and a pizza, thinking, you're on stage in like 9 hours. Like, how do you do that? But yeah.
And he was at Burger King having 2 Whoppers and stuff.
Yeah.
2 hours before stepping on stage.
Yeah, my stomach would be blown. I've always been obsessed with having like the tights, you know, midsection, and being able to control it on stage and things like that. And if you're full of all that, you're not going to get rid of it in 2 hours and stuff. So even on the day, what I'll do is I'll get up. It's a bit madness really. So if I'm on it, like normally the Olympia's on at 10 o'clock, we start at 10, we finish by 11:30. I'd get up at like 5. She loves me for that. I get up at 5 and I just graze on potato, like dry potato or something like that. Just graze, get it in, so make sure I'm full, test how full I am and stuff. And then take rice cakes or even banana just for the potassium, things like that backstage, just in case I need it or if the show runs on and stuff. But I'll try and keep it on the day minimum. You should be full. That's the thing.
When you're backstage, you're kind of like pumping up, ready to go on until like 20, 30 minutes before going on stage. Do you ever load sugars and stuff like that?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Chocolate bars or marshmallows or
No, I never have that. So, yeah. No, so what I would tend to do is raisins. I have raisins because it's a fruit, and dark chocolate, 80%. So it's not really, the raisins are nice, but the dark chocolate is very bitter and stuff, but it's fast acting and it's low. You don't have to have mass amounts for it to get into the system. People have jelly babies and they're having all these, like you say, Snickers and stuff like that, but it's got fats in, so it's slow digestion. Snickers got peanuts in, so it's slow digestion. So you want something that's fast and into your system, into your bloodstream as quick as possible. So for me, raisins and dark chocolates are your best 2 sources of doing that. 20, 30 minutes before. One thing I would say, when you're pumping up backstage, so many people leave this out, and I've done it so many times, and my coach has pulled me up, you didn't have your water, and he could see me on stage cramping, or I wasn't as full as I should have been, and it's reintroducing the water back into when you're pumping up. Yeah, so have you ever do that? You know, so when you're pumping up, when you're feeding the raisins, the chocolate, or whatever it is, and you're starting to pump up, a lot of people think, I'm not having any water because I want to be as dry as I can on stage. But it doesn't work like that. If you don't I just literally get caps of water, put it in as I'm pumping up. And if you don't do that, your muscles will be flat as anything. Because you've dehydrated, you've dropped your sodium out, which salt is for volumizing. You take all that out, you're going to be flat, and you'll run the risk of cramping on stage. And I did it at the Atlanta Pro. I'm hit my lat spread and I'm cramping like mad on stage. And as soon as I stepped off stage, when you didn't have any water, and it was right. It was just because I thought I'll be a bit dry if I don't have that. So it's key to just don't go necking jugs and jugs of it, but just have caps of it. And you should feel it going round because you've dehydrated overnight and whatnot. You're thirsty. You'll feel it flushing round. Yeah.
It's enough just to draw.
Yeah.
Those carbs and nutrients.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, and just to volumise, your muscles like a sponge, just to help. Sorry, just because no, you're right.
You mentioned about the bikini class since you compete, abroad on with the IFBB.
Yeah.
I find it. Do you think that the bikini girls over there look different to the bikinis over here? Because I saw Chelu over the weekend, and I went to see her. She asked me, "Oh, do you compete?" I said, "Yes, I do compete." And she said, "Oh, you do figure?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "No, thank you for noticing the gains, but I'm bikini." And she said, "You can't be bikini."
Is that what she said?
Yeah.
It's so difficult because I don't follow massively the bikini side of it, but I did know when I was going through the amateur ranks and stuff, the bikini was changing from show to show, let alone from season to season. So it was quite difficult to do that. And are you UK BFF or over here PCA or WABA? Okay, yeah. So it's each federation, each judges seem to have a different criteria, don't they? Because like the NABA seem to go a lot harder now and stuff like. No, they don't do the bikini, but they go for a lot harder look. Whereas the UK BFF were going for softer at the time, and then the Olympia stage, they were rock hard. And when the bikini first came out, they were like, remember, what was her name? I don't know if you ever followed it. Heather Schofield. She was the first British bikini girl. She was rock hard, big glutes, everything, like solid abs and stuff. But that wouldn't even be bikini now. She'd never do bikini. So I do feel for you on that one. You have to, like, probably at the start of the season, look at what's trending, and then you work towards that look. But don't get too obsessed with that. What I was saying to you before is you just come in the best condition you can and whatnot, and showcase yourself. And you can always soften off. The thing is, for guys and for yourself, like, you can always be rock hard and then soften off 2 days before if you need to. It's better to be in condition and soften off rather than be overweight and try and suck it in. So, yeah.
Would you sacrifice what you thought was your best physique for the sake of winning a show? So like you say, if you think you're looking really good, really conditioned, you're really happy with the condition, then someone says you need to look softer to win this show.
No.
Even though you don't prefer that look, would you
no.
show, or do you want to come in how you want to look?
Wanted to come in how I wanted to look. So when I said about the Arnold, you know, when I was saying I felt like I was doing that, when we were around the Prix and I saw the top six, because there's 110 in my class, would you believe, in one class, because they didn't have height classes at the time. So there were 110 of us, and I noticed, because I was starting to act stupid and I was starting to sacrifice my posing because I didn't want to tense too hard, because she'd sent me that text, whatever, and I was thinking, but then as it got closer and I could see people like just rock hard, people would and those people were still placing. I was like, no, I've come here, I've worked damn hard, you know what I mean? Like 12 weeks to be as shredded as I can be. I've practiced my posing every day after every session for the last 6 weeks. I'm not gonna, you know, not show my best physique off and stuff. And so yeah, I went in as rock hard as I could and tensed the hell out of it for the last 6. So yeah, I wouldn't sacrifice that. And the thing is, you know, Leon Williams, I don't know if you know Leon Williams, he was like that, bless him. He won the British finals in 2013. And then he listened to everyone. So every show he tried to come in softer, bigger, thinner. And it just messed with him. He's never competed since. So I would just go in at your best every time. Just go in as hard as you can and not sacrifice anything like that. Yeah.
How do you manage to keep a relationship through prep?
Someone else asked me.
My friend is a relationship. Well, that's right.
Have you really? Are you back with her now, or?
No.
Oh, shit.
But just through, like, obviously being the calorie deficit.
Yeah.
How does it make you feel? Like, oh,
Yeah. I know what you're saying. Amy could answer this one. I know, yeah. No, for me, I've always been very conscious. Like, I was around bodybuilders, like, and I've seen bodybuilders, like bad bodybuilding diets. I've seen Lucas Gabrius kick off on a plane, like, because a guy ordered a sandwich next to him and didn't have a clue about body. I've seen him going mental on like kicking off. And like, for me, I just think that you should not be dieting. You should not be in a bodybuilding environment if you've got that mentality. So. Yeah. But
I used to train with, well, I've got trained by Romain Lansford.
yeah, nice. Yeah, he's with his, yeah. They get on. Yeah. For me though, like, when I'm dieting, I'd like to think I'm an okay dieter where I always think, like, we never argue. We never, you know, like, through the year, we never have any bickers or anything like that. So if I'm on diet and I'm finding myself getting wound up over something really, I take myself out of it. I walk away and I think, would I actually be getting angry if I'm not depleted in food and stuff? Is this really something that I would fall out over with? And if 99% of the time it's me, you know. So what I do is I just go quiet. I just go very tired, and I just take myself out. I go for a walk and realise it's my choice to be what I'm doing and to be in this mentality, in this state. So, and she's always been very supportive. She's been brilliant in that respect, and she knows when to just leave me alone. When I'm walking around like a corpse, she just like leaves me alone. But there were times, and the thing I do, like, I always try and thank her and appreciate the fact that when I am dieting in the last 4 weeks, it is talking to a zombie, and it's not the best. And like the Arnold, when I won the Arnold, I remember we walked around Sherwood Forest, didn't we? And I just said, and I was trying to do this low carb, just one day low carbs, and I just remember walking. I just need to sit down a second. I just feel a bit. 2 hours later, I woke up. I was fast asleep. She just sat there. All right. I was thinking, oh shit, sorry, my bad. So I think I need to eat some carbs. It's like, yes. And the thing is with bodybuilding, it is a very selfish sport. You can't get around the fact that it is a selfish sport. Your training, your nutrition, everything, your sleep is so important to you, and you do have to sacrifice things. But as long as you counterbalance that, and that's hopefully what I've tried to do, you should be okay. She wasn't right for you, mate. Yeah, sorry. She'll tell me it's a load of bullshit. It's terrible. But, yeah.
On the back of that question, did you do anything then
I think it's hard, to be honest, to do that. I used to play golf, and I started to do that, but that's very tiring, like walking around 4 hours when you're depleted and stuff. And to be honest, like, it's one of those things you get so engrossed into it, like everything, that's all you think about, your next meal, and it can be quite taxing at times. But for me, when I start to get hungry, and I don't know if it's the right thing to say, but when I used to get hungry, I would go and do a bit more in the gym. Like, I know it sounds silly, but not punish myself, but like challenge myself. And the more I'm training or the more I'm doing something, the more it take myself away from being hungry, like the thought of it, because I'm focused on training. And it meant I could eat more. It meant I could do stuff. So there were just little things like that I used to do. But I actually enjoy feeling like, and it's sort of a weird thing, but I enjoy all that side of it. Well, most of you do when they're competing, or you wouldn't carry on competing. Yeah. So for me, I enjoy being in that state. So I never really looked for anything else. I liked that. What, do you compete yourselves?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. But to keep myself, it sounds stupid, but I grow orchids. Right?
Orchid? Oh, good lad. That was a random thing. I was like, what?
It's completely mind-numbing.
Yeah, of course.
It's only
I cut my grass down, that's one thing. I love cutting my grass. No, he's there cutting his grass again. But I got my scissors out on my patio. You think I'm joking? Actually caught me one day. I was like, nah, I can't get strimmer on it. So anyway, we're going off that. But any other questions? So keep firing. Yeah.
Do you feel like a push-pull leg split or a normal bodybuilding split is best for building muscle naturally?
So for me, I've never done the push-pull split. So it's weird because people ask me about like intermittent fasting, all these different diet methods and all these different training methods. But I think what works best for you, so you trial and error things differently. And if you're still getting muscle gain, you're still getting DOMs, you're eating enough to fuel those workouts, then you should see growth no matter what, as long as you're shocking the body. Whereas for me, we're boring, yeah? I'm joking. I'm joking. But yeah, I've never done the push-pull, so I found like the bodybuilding split, I started to grow quickly, I reacted quickly, and I enjoyed that you know, like isolating each muscle group. So I've never really ventured away from that. But what about yourself? Do you?
We tried push-pull leg split and I didn't enjoy it.
No.
Much rather doing bodybuilding, so we went back to that.
Yeah, so what do you do, 5, 6 days or? 6 days. What's this?
Training legs twice.
Yeah, so hamstrings and calves, quads and calves. Yeah, and then, yeah, so what I tend to do, I do that, and then for like a few months, swap it up to do legs all together, and then put a weaker muscle group back in. So you know, if like you're lacking on chest or you're lacking on back, hit that twice a week, and just keep alternating, just trying to do different, because that's what I'm doing at the minute, 6-day split. Put all my legs together, which is quite difficult when you've separated them. It's quite difficult to go back to that. But then I've put an extra arm session in, which is great for me because I need to focus on them a bit more. But yeah, just get the food in. Don't be afraid. You know, when you're on about growth and stuff. How old are you? 19. Yeah, so you're in an awesome position now because you're still growing anyway. Just that's the one thing. If I could do my time again, I'd learn the nutrition quicker and understand how much my body requires in order to grow or in order to.
Do you believe it's better to wait than to compete, or like in these years, like spend time growing, or do you think experience from doing competition?
I would never deter people away from competing early because I think why not if they want to do it. But if I would personally, you're in a window now where you can grow, like you're in an anabolic, awesome state of windows. I'd utilise it. So you can be on stage at whatever age you want to be, and why deplete, be in a deficit, restrict muscle growth and stuff at that age. I can't say much. I competed at 20, so I'm still young then. But I think because there's no age limit now, I think to utilise what you've got now is yeah, just keep growing, yeah.
Do you have a favourite training day?
Back, gotta admit, and only recently it's really took over because I didn't publicise it too much, but after Olympia, I've had back issues since I was 2010. I slipped my disc, so I've never really been able to squat or deadlift without pain. I had stem cell treatment in South Africa. I flew to South Africa and had stem cell treatment. So I had 3 months off the gym, hence why I didn't really post much. And now I'm back training again. I'm deadlifting again, squatting again, and it's just, yeah, I love training back. Yourself?
Probably chest.
Chest. I'm terrible at chest. Everyone always asks me about chest, wants to train chest. I'm terrible at it. But what was I going to say then? Yeah, it's completely gone now. Anyway, sorry, yeah. Questions?
Not all the people do say 8 to 12 weeks is the best workout, and then you have to change it. Like,
yeah, it's where you're going to, they say 66 days is to create a habit into it, and 66 days is to see change, to see good change.
What do you normally prefer to put on this change? What do you normally change? You change the complete workout, you change the sets, you change the...
Well, I'm different. Like I said earlier, I'm very sporadic in how I train, so every week's very different. As long as I'm enjoying that session and I make it up as I go along.
So one day I'll start with chest and the next week I'll start with back. So I don't have Monday chest or Tuesday back, so I normally change the one.
Yeah.
I do the same there.
As long as you're not sacrificing it, because you don't want to be hitting back on a Friday and then again you're hitting it on a Tuesday and not having enough growth. So
we have days that are
quite similar.
Yeah, they're quite similar.
Yeah. But I'm more in the fact that I change the rep range of the weight, all that kind of stuff every week instead of doing something very specific. Even my meal plan and stuff, I try to change and just because you get bored of it, don't you? And that's one thing I'd say as well. If you start dieting, I know it's easy and it's easy for me to say because I've got a prep company and whatnot. It's easy for me to say don't eat the same foods like every meal. You know, like because it's so easy to cook 3 chicken breasts, having 3. It would be great if you could do like 1 chicken, 1 turkey, 1 fish and stuff. And it keeps the enjoyment, or as much enjoyment as you can when you're dieting on white fish. But
you normally change the so the question was that after 10
8 to
12 weeks or 10 weeks, whatever you change the workouts, you change the days that you work out at the gym, or you change the reps, you change sets, you change exercises?
So I change the exercises every week. So like say the different formats. So if I've started on like a compound lift, I'll go on to resistance or machine works to start with, just so it's different from the week before. When I normally do it like on a 3-month basis, so because I'm dieting normally 12 weeks, I typically go on a 3-month, and in that week, in that 12 weeks, every week would differentiate from the last. It wouldn't be the same.
So it's not much change after the 12th week?
No, no. I just keep shocking it, keep changing it, but there's no right or wrong answer. It's just trying to find what's best for you, because everyone's got a different metabolism. Everyone enjoys different exercises and things like that. And it's just the longevity of it is enjoying your training. So instead of fitting to what you think you should do or what other people have recommended, the more knowledge you get in training, the more you adapt it to how you enjoy and yeah.
You don't want to stagnate training and plateau for too long. The minute you've done that for a couple of weeks, if you do tend to regimen, it's good then
to swap it up. I started on would you believe, like when it started doing CrossFit for cardio in the morning, and I absolutely loved it because it was something different. I've done bodybuilding for 15 years and I wanted to just try something different, but it was brilliant until my coach said, "What are you doing?" Because literally my body composition was changing. So because obviously it's more about core and endurance and it wasn't really about aesthetics. So I was getting a thicker waist because I was doing bigger lifts and stuff, and I was losing mass on my shoulders because it wasn't certain isolation movements and stuff. So it all depends on your goal. If you're doing it for enjoyment and for training, then I think bodybuilding is very different to some sorts of training, but I had to stop that. Yeah.
Do you find time to have like a social life in between your bodybuilding as well?
Yeah, I do, but then obviously my work comes into play as well, which is I'm in a different country every week at the minute, so it's very, very difficult. But I think in the gyms, in this industry, you can have a good social life as well. You meet so many people and stuff, and a lot of people have the same outlook on food, common things where, like, I never, going out drinking, I don't drink or anything. Not because I can't, or not because I'm not allowed to, just because I fell out of love with it. I did it all when I was younger, and I love what I do now, and I enjoy what I do now. So I never really drink anymore, but I go out with people, we socialise with people who don't also. And it's not that I would separate people from drinking. It won't bother me if we go out with people. You just, we've created a social life within what we do.
So you've made like a lifestyle within.
Yeah. I think we've been lucky to do it. I think you can do that. And I think gyms like this are absolutely brilliant for that. Like when you go to the big chain gyms, I think you lose that personal family kind of feel. You can see here, like everyone's quite close and whatnot, and the way Daryl talks about where he wants to expand and all that kind of stuff, and doing stuff like this, I think that's a great social thing. We're from a very similar thing up north where everyone's got each other's back. When I travel each week, all the bodybuilders look after you, don't they, and make sure she's okay and stuff. So yeah, I think you can have a good social life within it. But as long as you don't affect your training, you're there 3 hours talking. Not training, but I've done that a few times. But yeah. How much body fat? Yeah, well, like I said, I've always tried to stay very lean, and too lean, to be honest, because, again, I never wanted to be a big bodybuilder. I just wanted to be lean all year and keep that confidence I had when I was dieted down. So I'd only ever really fluctuate from stage about, in kilograms, it's about 3 kilograms, 3 to 4 kilograms, which is what, yeah, like 7 or 8 pounds. Because again, it wasn't my objective to get massive when I got on, stopped competing. So I would still stay lean around the 10 to 12% body fat, whereas on stage, some people say they're at 1 and 2%, but it's not realistic. Like I say, you have 5% visceral fat around your vital organs, so you can't be below 5%. But my body fat at the Arnold Classic was 6%, which was that was a DEXA scan and stuff. But so I'd still increase, probably double the body fat, which is still lean, because when you're on stage, you can't walk around like that for long anyway. So yeah, I'd increase it, but now I'm not 12% body fat now. I'm a bit more than that at the minute. But yeah. You've only got to get it off though. That's the problem. You've only got to get it off. So if you go 20% over, you've only got to get that body fat off. But if you're gaining weight cleanly, obviously eating well, training well and stuff, and you're gaining muscle mass, then when you come to diet, it'll be a lot easier to come off and you've got mass. I used to train with, again, like Dave Titterton. Old bodybuilding mentality, that the minute he got off stage, ballooned up, you couldn't see his face or anything. But then we used to diet for the same shows. I'd be on 200, 300 grams of carbs 3 weeks out. He'd be on nothing, no keto, near enough, dead to the bone, but he's twice the size of me. And it's because of what he did on his off season. He has to be more dramatic on his on season. So it's just being sensible now. And I think it's getting a lot more educated. The world's getting a lot more educated. People are prepping more sensible now and stuff. And like I say, making it a lifestyle so that you can sustain it. Once you're off your 12-week diet, you still can sustain a healthy year of eating. Dexter Jackson, he's a prime example of that. Dexter Jackson was the worst dieter off his prep. He would. I don't know if you ever saw, he used to eat cereals and like burgers and chips and stuff, just 3 meals of just crap, and on his off season, all through his career. And then only the last few years, he's gone with a new coach. He's been eating clean on his off season, and he regrets it so much because he looks phenomenal. And he diets so easy now, he looks full, and he just says, I wish I'd have done this, obviously, 10 years ago. He's still a monster now, but...
Have you found there's an optimal body fat in your off season before adding muscle tissue?
There's
a lot of people say that when they go a little bit too far into higher body fat percentages, they find it more difficult to grow actual tissue.
Well, I've never been that far out. This is the furthest I've ever been out and stuff. And I think it's difficult because I'm struggling to see, like, I always judge myself visually to look at and to see if I'm growing. Like, I never really went on weight and things like that. So now I've put more body fat than I'm used to. I'm finding it quite difficult to assess where I'm at, like size-wise, if I'm gaining muscles. My strength's gone through the roof, which is a good thing. And I'm training better. My energy is a lot better whilst I'm training and stuff. So I should be in an optimal environment to grow. But I think time will tell when I diet down. Oh, it was on, you heard it when I was like thinking, bless her. No, it's me. But yeah, so I'm not too sure. From personal experience, I've never been that far out. From people around me, like Dave, he went 5 stone. I remember 5 stone over his Arnold Classic stage weight. And when he dieted back down, he was the same size. If not, he looked stringier because he had to do the extremes of ketosis and stuff. Yeah, he had to do that. So I don't think there's mass benefit to going miles out. As long as you're in a surplus, as long as you know you've slowed your metabolism down enough to get your strength up and that you're training well, then I think it's, work within reason. But what, have you heard different things or?
Well, no, I just, I know some, like, it might be, like you say, from when, if you put on an excess of body fat when you start dieting, you can end up eating into a little bit of that muscle.
Yeah.
Being a more extreme calorie deficit for a longer period.
Yes, yeah.
But I just heard from some people they felt like if they stick between kind of 10 to 15% body fat, they find it easier to grow muscle tissue as opposed to when they go above that 15% body fat, the weight they're putting on tends to just be more body fat.
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah, I was going to say, you're not going to grow like that quick overnight, are you? So if you're putting that kind of weight on post-show, realistically, how much muscle are you going to gain from that? So, and the thing is as well, there's health risks to it as well. If you're going that far, I remember Dave, bless him, he was so obsessed with trying to get bigger and bigger, so he was eating, and his stomach, and he struggled to bring his belly back in for his next show. And he had some health issues with it, breathing, and that's not, you know what I mean, that's not what bodybuilding's about. It's being productive and sensible.
Looking good on stage for that one day.
For that one day, yeah.
It's 364 days.
Yeah. Well, Jeremy and Sadiq and all those, you know, when they first started, they had a better bodybuilding mentality, and they were like that. It was only when I think the Europeans started to come over and it became more worldwide, the men's physique, that it started to say that's not acceptable, you know, like all year. And they've had to clean it up and stuff. And you're more usable as well. A lot of people say to me is that, how did you get your front covers, and how did you manage to stay relevant for so long? Because I've been around it too long. I know. No, and that is because you're ready, available, like all year. You're lean. Like most front cover opportunities, they'll only give you a week's notice and stuff. So if you're lean and you're wanting to make it a career as well as competing, you have to be like usable all year. And your sponsors want you like that as well. Do you know what I mean? The sponsors don't want you turning up like a blimp. They want you like representing the brand. You what, sorry?
You don't only have, magazines don't only release articles.
Exactly. No, exactly. So what I tend to do is have all my photo shoots 3 weeks out, and then just like filter them out all year. But a little trick for you. But yeah, any other questions?
Who's the person that inspired you? So how it started everything? You say that you wanted to shred a bit, and after your injury you...
So for me, I was always Rob Richards, basically, but he was the guy who I first saw on a front cover magazine, and it was one of those things where I thought I want his midsection, because he had one of the best midsections in the world at the time, and he was world #1. So I kind of started to look at his training, and that's all I ever did. And he's the one who inspired me to compete, to be honest, is because when I saw he was world #1 in America, world champion, and when he claimed that he was coming back to take over the UK and stuff like that, I thought instead of me queuing at an expo to see him, I thought I'll step on stage next to him and yeah, compare myself to him. And that was my challenge. I thought, to be the best, you've got to beat the best. So didn't tell anyone, and I stood against him and stuff, and that was my avenue into. So he inspired me to step on stage and to have the midsection, like to train the way I did for the midsection and stuff. But as far as what people have achieved, and I've got to admit, Flex Lewis is a good example of the fact that he works very hard on stage, off stage, and he's done very well for himself, because you are up against it. You know, like, as much as you don't want to admit it, like, not being from America, you've got that point to prove over in America. So you are kind of, you've got to serve your time, and you've got to show that you're around and you're not just a thing. And he has done that, 6 times Mr. Olympia and stuff. You can't take that away from him. So, yeah, he is the best in his sport at that, and that's something I want to be the best in the sport at my class.
And who's the top competitor right now?
Top competitor?
Yeah.
So for me, obviously, there's one person I ever look at is Jeremy in my class. If you're thinking about competitive, yeah. But you can't ignore Andre Ferguson. I think Andre's got a phenomenal. Yeah, Lucky Libra, Andre Ferguson. Yeah, so he's second in the world now. He's the Arnold Classic champion. But aesthetically, I've always been like drawn to aesthetics. So not really about the small waist, just more aesthetic. You put a mirror image on someone, they need to be identical. And for me, Andre is a prime example of that. So he's someone I'm aware of, but mainly Jeremy. And the thing is with Jeremy, like, no one can beat his Filipino waist. You know what I mean? It's a 26-inch waist. But he knows that, so he knows how to perform against people like myself. He'll never stand straight onto me. I'll never stand sideways to him, because he kills me on that shot, and he knows that. So he's very sensible in how he trains, but he's the one everyone's going for and aiming for. People are asking me about, do you think he'll compete, and do you want him to compete? And I bet you're excited he's thinking of not competing. I'm like, no, because that's not the objective, to win the Olympia with the current Mr. Olympia not there. So I want him to be full fitness, and I want him to be at his best come September. So he's training now, he's growing again, he's very good at reacting. He reacts very well to his training. Yeah, so he's now, you can see each week he's filling back up and stuff, and he's getting ready. Yes, yeah, he's prepping now. So for me, that's incentive for me to get my head down and get my ass moving. So I've got one more trip, LA next week, and then I'm locking it down, putting my hoodie on. Going to be boring for 3 months.
Is pausing it? So I know pausing is quite important. Is pausing the feel of everything
huge
before you step on stage? So not only on the 12th week, but even before when you're working on everything.
Posing.
I see him quite posing on the Instagram. You do as well, but he's like.
No, he's Posing is massive. Posing is huge, and if you're first time competing or anything like that, if you ever want to compete, posing, really lock your posing down, because there's two things. If you've never stepped on stage before and you're nervous, if you're practicing every day, you're posing. When you step out and there's lights and there's all these cameras and whatever you're going off, as soon as you hit your first pose, it becomes second nature to you. You've done it every day for the last 6 weeks, so you go through your routine quite good. The second thing is you can be as shredded as you want, you can be as in condition as you want, you can be as big as you want. But if you can't showcase it very well, you can lose you can even drop 4 or 5 places. And even at amateur level, pro level, whatever, posing is massive. And my first ever show, that's what I lost. That's why I lost on it, is because I went on there and I was looking at this guy's hitting all his poses. He was holding his abs perfect, no shake, nothing. I'm like looking at him trying to do these poses. And that's what lost it. I was in just the same condition. It all comes down to your posing. And not only that, when you're dieting, you hit 15 minutes after every session. That's quite a huge expenditure if you're trying to hold and contract your abs, like isolation work. You get more control over it on stage. It looks easier to control, because some of the lads on the Olympia stage, that's what they always used to say to me, is like, how are you holding your abs for so long and breathing and stuff? It's because I've done it for 6 weeks before. Some people are shaking like mad and whatnot, and judges notice that, and it's lazy bodybuilding, so they'll mark you down for it. Even if they don't say it, they'll mark you down if you're shaking and stuff. So it is key, and again, it will improve your physique, your overall physique, because you'll just get tighter and tighter. So I would suggest it. What I did is 6 weeks out, is 15 minutes after every session. So you go up and you just hit some poses. Even film yourself as well, because posing, like, your routine is important as well. And you can look at my routine, or you can look at Jeremy's routine. But if you haven't got his waist, or if you haven't got his back, or whatever it is, some of them poses aren't going to fit you. So you have to make a routine what fits your physique, and you've got to showcase your best assets. So if you've got a tight waist, you showcase that first. You hit a front shot first, and you finish on that as well. So your best two shots, you always start and finish, because that's what everlasting for the judges to see. Your transitions, all that, show that you've done the research, that you've made an effort to turn up, not just being conditioned. You've made an effort to be part of that show and to showcase your physique in its best light. So I do think posing is underrated. People don't talk about it a lot, but it is key massively.
Is that the extra person, is that why everyone needs a trainer? So everyone needs to look after a person who's competing in that 12 weeks, let's say?
What do you mean? So having a coach or something, you say? Yeah, what, a posing coach or a nutritionist or a trainer? What?
Posing one, I'm talking about.
No, I've never had a posing coach, and some people love and some people hate my posing. It's very online. But the reason I do that is because I want to be different. I'm not American. Everyone says to me, why don't you take on... I forgot his name now. There's a famous American coach in Wally something, but they all got the same posing, and they're all American and stuff. And I thought, I don't want to mimic what everyone else is doing. I want to stand out, and some of those poses don't show my physique off the way I want to show it off. So I got a camera on a tripod, set it off, did all my poses, looked it back, and thought, right, that definitely didn't suit me, or that did, and then I put a routine together. And yes, it's probably not the most fluent compared to some other people. Film it, yeah. Yeah, because you can do it in a mirror, but the key is you're not going to have a mirror on stage. So it's all right posing in front of a mirror and stuff, but then you need to pose away from it against the brick wall, because then you'll see if you're actually hitting your abs without looking at them, certain things like that. And when you pose, a lot of people as well, when they do their comparisons on stage or something, if they're being compared to 3 or 4 other people, and you could be stood on stage for a minute, and it doesn't sound a lot, but when you're hitting the one pose for a minute, and people are trying to hold, you can 100% you'll soften off your midsection and stuff, because you can't hold and contract your muscles for that long, that tight, while you're breathing and stuff. So always adjust. You know, so I always used to go like that and then go again, because when you hit it again, you're resetting. You know, hitting your abs again and stuff like that. But a lot of people tend to stay in the poses for too long. And then you look at the back of those pictures and think, what was I doing? Because you're really soft and stuff, because you don't realise you're soft enough. So I think... Yeah, but I think that's key though. I think if you come in completely different to everyone else, I think it can benefit you because it looks as though you have researched it, you have gone away and took pride in doing your own performance instead of... I see so many people mimicking Jeremy's back-to-back, his posing, which is fine because he's world number one, I understand that, but then you're mimicking his... where's your individual... Yeah, exactly. So for me personally, I've always... Some people love it, some people hate it, but I know it's mine. Do you know what I mean? It's my kind of posing. Yeah, but is everyone okay with... Yeah, any people who've not asked any questions before we move on, like, want to say something? And if not, if no one wants to speak up and they want to speak like one-to-one, I think if everyone's going to train away, I'm going to be around for the next few hours, so you're more than welcome to just come and chat one-to-one and whatnot and just pick my brain. And, yeah, okay? You sure everyone's happy yet? Good. Good. I appreciate you all coming, thank you.